Get the latest on the tropical storm Florence now.
And the rain we're expecting this weekend, right, Evan?
That's right. We'll still have some of the effects with those easterly winds creating some tidal issues. Also looking at some scattered showers and storms from the outer rain bands, probably a little more than what we've seen during the day today. As we take a look at the radar, most of the heavier rain has been south of the Albemarle Sound back towards Raleigh and certainly down along the coastline. We have seen a few of those showers working their way in from time to time through some of our coastal areas. A couple of showers moved through the middle peninsula a little bit earlier, the peninsula up around Williamsburg. So as we go through the rest of the overnight, just a couple of showers around. Notice again the heavy rain that continues to fall as the storm works its way off towards the west, very close to Florence, South Carolina now. And also notice this pink box, that's a tornado watch, and then this red box is a tornado warning. And there's been several, especially along this band right in here, where we've seen some of that heavy rain, just the training effect. So I think somewhere in here close to Morehead City and down towards and south of Goldsboro, North Carolina, we'll see that bullseye for some of that heavy rain as just throughout the past several hours, that rain's been working its way inland. So on the satellite view, you can also see that southwestward drift as the storm is expanding its wind field just a little bit as it continues to weaken. Winds are now down to 65 miles per hour, but still it's only moving at 5 miles per hour. So that's folks can run faster than that storm is moving. And you'll notice that over the next day or so, it just sits here over South Carolina. It actually and eventually is picked up by a cold front, which carries it off towards the north and east. But still, there's some concerns about some flooding through West Virginia and up through Pennsylvania and the northeast. Of course, they were hit pretty hard by Gordon and some of the flooding rains as well. So again, a lot to talk about over the next few days. And I think once we start getting some more of the pictures in the daylight hours tomorrow coming in out of Wilmington and New Bern, North Carolina, we're just going to see how very tragic this situation was down for the coastal Carolinas. Around here, we're still looking at those easterly winds right through the weekend, so we're still concerned about some minor to moderate tidal flooding. Earlier today at Sewell's Point, we had a high tide at around 4.6 feet. That's minor tidal flooding. Through overnight, up about 4.9, 5.1. That's still considered minor. It's 5.5 once we start to get into moderate. So even through Sunday, I think we will still have some issues with some minor tidal flooding at around Sewell's Point. Up in Yorktown, the datum and the numbers are a little bit different as far as how much water it takes to get to that minor or moderate tidal flooding. We had moderate tidal flooding earlier today of 5.3 feet, about 5.0 during the overnight, and tomorrow we could be back up to about 5.4. So if you had some issues with some of the water levels today, could see that tomorrow afternoon as well. So be alert for that as we go through the day on Saturday. For the rest of the forecast, just a few isolated showers, maybe a rumble of thunder overnight. And through the day tomorrow, still those easterly winds, a few scattered showers, maybe a thunderstorm. Notice that it's not widespread everywhere, but there are numerous showers. We'll say about a 50 to 60% chance of rain as we go through the day on Saturday. Saturday evening, a couple of showers around, and really the same thing on Sunday as those easterly winds continue keeping temperatures down. The cloud cover, some of the showers, some of the rain. Could even be a little bit of a better chance of a thunderstorm on Sunday as well. Temperatures once again in the low 80s for Sunday. Then temperatures go up next week and our rain chances will go down. Cloudy skies right now over downtown Norfolk, 76 degrees, easterly winds at 9 miles per hour. Pressure is on the rise. 77 in Williamsburg and Saluda, 75 in Suffolk, 74 at Chesapeake, 77 in Elizabeth City, and 78 degrees in Manio. Later tonight down to 74, windy and mild. Some of those areas that we're concerned about with minor to moderate tidal flooding beyond the alert. And tomorrow 82 degrees, still some issues with some tidal flooding, scattered showers and thunderstorms. Same thing into tomorrow night, 74. And then on Sunday, isolated showers and thunderstorms around 83 degrees, easterly winds at 10 to 20. So your weekend forecast again, not a total washout, but we will see a few of those showers and storms. Notice about a 45% chance on Sunday. Monday, 87 degrees. Same thing on Tuesday, about a 40% chance of rain. And then rain chances going down, temperatures remaining warm above normal for this time of year. Normal is 80 degrees. We'll be in the mid to upper 80s right through Friday.